Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here, and we got some big NFC East news. So the New York Giants are expected to keep head coach Joe Judge. So that is great news for the Washington football team, Eagles, and Cowboys, because we all know how big of a clown Joe Judge is. So we're going to talk about that a little bit in the beginning of the video. I'll also talk about some news about possible DeAndre Carter, Bobby McCain, and JD McKissick extensions, because they did talk today to the media. And I'll also give you guys a name change update because, again, a lot of these players talked today in the media. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Hit that like button and turn on those notifications. It really does help out the channel a lot. And also, go ahead and follow my Twitter. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on there. So let's get right into the video. And I know this is a different kind of video than I usually make, but I think it's definitely relevant to the Washington football team and especially the NFC East. So like I said, and what the title says, the Giants are keeping Joe Judge. It's not official yet, but all signs point to the Giants keeping head coach Joe Judge, and that is great news for the rest of the NFC East, because it really doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. Not only have the Giants not had success on the field, but you look at his, you watch his press conferences, you hear what he says just in general. It doesn't seem like he is an NFL head coach. He's more of a coordinator, a special teams guy, and even their special teams isn't great. I mean, their their punt and kick coverage is pretty good. We saw that yesterday. But, I mean, they've had countless mistakes this year on special teams that have cost them a ton of yards. And, I mean, we saw that in the Giants versus Washington game. I mean, they had the game in the bag, but Dexter Lawrence jumps offsides. We get the win because of that. And, they start off the season okay, the first 8-9 games of the season, but the last half of the season it's just been abysmal. Their defense has been okay, but their offense, 2 touchdowns the last 40 offensive possessions, that's just pathetic. And obviously not all on him. I mean, he originally didn't really want Jason Garrett, but that's John Mara really wanted them to hire Jason Garrett. They fire him. It honestly becomes worse after they fired Jason Garrett, and it's just been a train wreck throughout the whole second half of the season. And the things he says in the press conference, he constantly contradicts himself. Like he talks, I think the other day, a few weeks ago, he says, even though we're losing, we're never gonna quit. We're a team that doesn't quit. And then you see what he does against us, where he just, does a QB sneak at their own 4-yard line on 3rd and 9. I mean, it doesn't make sense at all. I don't know what they got. They got 1 or 2 yards. You're 4-12. There's nothing to lose in this game. Go all out there. Try to get the first down. Try to win the game. Doing what you did there, I mean, that's just crazy. I've never seen something like that before. We got the ball in good field position anyways. I don't see it with Joe Judge. I really never saw it. Last year, they finished off the season strong. They were 6-10, but they did show some signs of encouragement. And then this year, a bunch of injuries, but still, they won 4 games. They're 4-13 for a reason. And that starts with Joe Judge. Obviously, injuries play a factor into it, but I just don't think Joe Judge is a good head coach. And I'm happy New York is keeping him, and I think they're keeping him because this is he only been a coach for 2 years, and they moved on from Ben McAdoo after 2 years. Then they moved on from Pat Shurmur after 2 years. So I think they just don't want to do the same with Joe Judge, and that's unfortunate for them. There's a lot of good coaching candidates out there. Todd Bowles, maybe Jim Harbaugh, Byron Leftwich. There's a lot of good head coaching candidates out there that they could go for. And the other news is that Dave Gettleman announced his retirement, and he's lucky that they just let him retire, because he should have been fired a long time ago. I think he's 20 and something, a very terrible record as the GM of the New York Giants. I mean, a lot of bad picks. Picking Saquon Barkley at 2, you just don't do that. especially with some of the quarterbacks that were on the board. You don't pick a running back at 2, and then not only they picked him, but he hasn't turned out, to be what they thought he would. He did in the first year, but after that, injuries have slowed him down. They picked Daniel Jones at 6. Really haven't been able to, build around Daniel Jones. I mean, Daniel Jones has not been good, but also the offensive line in front of him hasn't been good. Andrew Thomas is an okay pick, but Kadarius Toney doesn't look like a great pick. I mean, Dave Gettleman really set this team back, and now the thing is, Dave Gettleman's going to be gone. Joe Judge is going to stay here, and if he stays here, that's such a big mistake. If you're bringing in a GM and, you're not letting him decide if Joe Judge is the guy, or what would be even worse is if they let Joe Judge pick the general manager. Usually that doesn't happen, but there's been some cases like that. And then if that happens, and the Giants have a bad year, like let's say they're bringing Kevin Abrams, Joe Judge, a guy that maybe is going to suit Joe Judge well, and then Joe Judge, the Giants don't do well. They fired Joe Judge after next year. Well, then you're screwed because you have a GM that was suited for this head coach. So whatever the Giants do, they should pick a general manager and let that GM decide what happens, not the other way around. Just the Giants right now are not in a good situation. I mean, this is a Giants fan, and he's even saying that, they're the joke of the NFL. It's not the Jets anymore. It's the Giants. And I mean, they haven't had a single week in the last 5 years where they've been above 500. I mean, just think about not even 1-0 or 2-1 or 3-2, not a single week in the last 5 years. I mean, you think we've had it bad? Obviously, they've had more success in the last 20 years than we've had. A lot more. Like a lot more. 2 Super Bowls. So I can't, that is okay for them. I mean, 2 Super Bowls is great, but the last 10 years has been really, really bad for them. They've been one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NFL under Dave Gettleman. And yeah, I mean, it's not looking good for them in the future as well, because they've got a lot of cap invested in players that, don't look like they're going to be their guys in the future. So, that's kind of the Giants side of it. Now let's get into some, Washington football team news like I usually do. So locker cleanout day, I think, players talking to the media. And there was a few, nothing too big, but, DeAndre Carter said he's hopeful of getting a deal done with Washington, said they're in talks. I would like to bring DeAndre Carter back. I don't think, next year, hopefully he's not a huge part of the offense, because if he is, that's probably an issue. It means, either Curtis Samuel's injured or, no one else has stepped up. We're going to have Terry next year. Curtis hopefully is back, and then Diami or someone else will step up, or we'll bring in another guy. But I think DeAndre Carter, great special teams guy that, occasionally can come in an offense and, be effective. You can bring him in for certain plays. And I really like him as a kick returner. Not sure about a punt returner. He doesn't seem like he has the best IQ in terms of as a punt returner. Sometimes takes punts out he shouldn't, and sometimes he lets it bounce when he shouldn't, and sometimes he doesn't run it out when he should run it out. So I love him as a kick returner, though. Very explosive, some big runs. But as a punt returner, not so much. But I would bring him back on a very, very cheap deal. I think that would be fine. Bobby McCann also talked. They both want to, Washington wants him back. He wants to come back. And I would like to bring him back for a reasonable deal. No reason to overpay him. He's an average free safety, above average maybe. But, you can do better. You can do better than Bobby McCann. You can also do much worse. So try to bring him back for a reasonable deal. But if not, it's not the end of the world. You can get someone in the draft or free agency or trade, whatever. A lot of options at free safety. And then J.D. McKissick, I'll read this quote from him. They want me here and I want to be here. That's as simple as it sounds. Just got to get something done. And then John Keim says they definitely want him back. I've heard that for a long time. Players really, really like him in the locker room too. So I think he's a guy you have to bring back. Don't overpay him a ton, but he's a very, very good third down back, very good in pass protection, picking up some blitzes. Is an okay runner as well. He's explosive at times, and great route runner. And of course, John Keim added it right there. Great in the locker room, so you might as well bring him back. I think it would be great for Washington to do. And then this is kind of the name thing, a bunch of tweets I'll read right here. Terry McLaurin says he will be involved with Washington's new name announcement next month. There will be some things coming that's humble, smart move by the team to include him. So I love that, they're including Terry McLaurin because he is one of the faces of the franchise. So, and they want to bring him back this offseason, or extend him. He's coming back next year because he's under contract, but they want to extend him. So cool that he's involved with the name announcement. And then let's see, Jonathan Allen says that Washington's new jerseys are phenomenal. Sounds like the Pro Bowler knows the name. So I think a few of the guys know the name. I think Terry McLaurin, Jonathan Allen, and then Chase Young, maybe a couple other guys do know the name. But besides that, I'm not sure who else they do. Who else knows the name? But I'm excited to know the name. I think it's going to be something totally random. And hopefully it is. I want something creative, something random, something like the Seattle Kraken. I loved how they, did their name rollout. I thought that was great. So that's going to be it for today's video. I know it's a different video, but I'm trying to, branch out a little bit, do some NFC East news occasionally when there is some big news. And yeah, if you guys are a Giants fan or any other NFC East, team fan, go ahead and subscribe and, to get updated on the Washington football team. And I might be posting some highlight videos, guys, so stay tuned for that. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and peace.